The No Money But Dreams podcast is for those millennial dreamers
who try to be in the top 1%.
It doesn't matter what we've achieved.
We wake up every morning with the mindset that we're still broke,
We welcome you on our journey in search of that home run.
which can change everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Welcome back to season 2 of the No Money But Dreams podcast. This time, we're actually going to stick with it. We're not going to cut it off because Tarek has been kind enough to build a whole freaking studio inside his house. So there will be no more excuses and nothing that we can do about it.
No more excuses. We're going to change up the format a little bit.
Yeah.
You're going to see us on the channel, obviously, sometimes with each other, sometimes with other guests, but hopefully a lot of really valuable content with people in our network and outside of our network
For sure.
coming to the show.
Definitely.
Today's topic, very interesting. We're going to talk about ChatGPT, AI, metaverse, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the last time when we were on the show, the metaverse was hyped and everyone
Definitely was the flavor of the week. It was a buzzword which everybody was latching onto.
Exactly. And we didn't want to do the same thing. And now we're talking about ChatGPT and how is this different from kind of like the metaverse stuff?
For sure. I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel that maybe AI and ChatGPT is kind of going to feed into the metaverse narrative. If you look at what the metaverse is if we were to just say on a simple scale that the metaverse is a point in time where you start to spend more time in a digital world than you do a physical world. And when that world maybe becomes more important than your physical world, which we're already seeing with some of the newer generation, where their time spent on an iPhone or spent on a laptop or on an iPad in these other worlds, because Instagram is another world, for example, TikTok is another world, is becoming even more important than spending time like with their family and things like that. You know?
For me, the metaverse wasn't as interesting as ChatGPT. You know, I'm very much living in this world and don't spend as much time online playing in other kind of worlds, although obviously there is social media and we do partake in this.
I think social media is that different world which we're talking about.
Yes, but ChatGPT has taken off like this. You know,
I think 100 million users in a month or something like that.
In 2 months, it was the fastest growing one, right? So it has a lot of distribution already. And when you look at the last 4 or 5 months since ChatGPT 3.5 came out and 3 came out and now 4 came out, so many more people are interested in it because it can shortcut a lot of the things that they do on a daily basis. And we want to talk about this today and how this could be interesting to the people watching or listening today. Because, I mean, we both think it has huge possibilities.
I mean, we're always trying to figure out how to hack our time. We're always trying to figure out, not a shortcut necessarily to get something done, but a co-pilot. And I think that AI is a really good, ChatGPT AI, it's roughly the same thing, let's say. ChatGPT is the brand name of this AI technology, is really a co-pilot. And we're just starting to see how many different use cases this can take place and how much value it can bring to people who take the time to learn how to use it.
Yeah. So a few months ago, I straight away jumped on it, created an account, a free account before the paid accounts came out, and had to play around with it. And you know, on LinkedIn or on other kind of sources, I saw all these different prompts that you can then put into ChatGPT to get answers out. And that's a really interesting learning curve at the beginning, that you can ask the ChatGPT something and then they come back with an answer and you can just keep going and refining these answers, right? That's the first kind of thing that is interesting about it, that you know, you want to write me a paragraph about, I don't know, trading, about the problems that traders have. And it comes back. And if you understand the topic, you can then go much deeper and say, okay, take this element and rewrite it, or go into more depths, make it more dramatic, act like a professional trader. So you can have all these different kind of prompts to make texts much more interesting.
So a question is how is this any different to a Google search, for example?
Yeah, I mean, a Google search, you ask your question and you get 1 million results, right? And then you have to go through everything and find the right kind of answer.
Exactly,
right?
and Google has ranked your answer at the best rank at the top of the page and the worst at the bottom. However, there are people paying to be at the top as well, which is kind of that conundrum that takes place with all this technology, is how to monetize the usage, which obviously ChatGPT now has figured out that there's a subscription model, and we're later on seeing some API models coming in where I'm sure these external apps or external companies will have to pay to access and ping ChatGPT to offer whatever service they have to their customers. But coming back to the fact, like, I think a lot of people are maybe, you know, when there's something that there's so much buzz and there's so much hype, people don't know where to start. You know, they don't know how to start on the journey of trying to understand this technology. And I think that forces a lot of people, even with social media in the early days, like, oh, I don't understand this.
Same with TikTok. When TikTok came out and people didn't want to open a TikTok account, no, I've got my Instagram, why would I now go TikTok, right?
And I don't understand it, I don't want to understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like, remember you told me this story where you opened a TikTok account, you uploaded a video, and it got a ridiculous amount of reach, and it was like a stupid video that you uploaded, right?
Yeah, and I went to Dina and I was like, this is going to be huge one day.
Yeah. And then you didn't do anything for a while, right? And then you came back and you're like, oh, now I got to take this serious, but a lot of months later, right? I feel like we're in the same stage now.
Yeah.
If you haven't tried out ChatGPT and you want to understand, the easiest thing that you can do is just play around with it. Right?
Yeah.
And you got to spend some time with it.
But go into a bit more playing around with it. Like, give an example for, okay, so I go onto ChatGPT, openai.com, and it's just a blank page. And the whole point of AI, or where we see that the massive opportunity is that it can kind of cure this blank page problem, which all of us sometimes have, you know? So like,
you want to create content?
What was the first prompt you put in?
I don't remember.
Keeping in mind that you can do anything.
I don't remember what the first one was.
Was it a question?
Yeah, it was a question.
Yeah. Straight away, you feel like you feel like you're interacting with a human or with a search engine or something, and you want to ask it a question.
Yeah.
And then, but when it gives you the answer, it's a completely different experience than Googling something.
Yeah, much more refined
and nuanced.
Yes, and you get like 5-10 bullet points that are short kind of explanations, and then you go into further depth. But I think what is interesting for people listening that haven't played around with it yet is figure out, how does that affect my job or my field, and how can I become a lot more efficient in my work? Because you can see it from the positive and from the negative side, right?
Sure, yeah. And there was that petition that Elon Musk and a bunch of other people signed saying that we need to curb AI and it's growing way too fast.
Yeah, and you can be on that kind of space and say, no, I'm not going to touch it, I'm not interested, and it's not for me. But since we spend so many hours online anyways, there are now so many opportunities where you can go in and say, okay, this is my job, how can I use it, right? And it's a language model at the moment, right?
Yeah, and there are image models also.
And there are image models, right? So we know the story of this guy that is creating 3D
cartoons. I mean, 3D images, cartoons, anime.
And usually it took him 3 weeks to create one, and now it takes him 2 days, right? And he feels like, oh, the creativity is not really with him anymore, and he's now just scraping the internet and creating images out of that. And so a lot of creativity could be in danger, or people that are...
I don't think it's in danger. I think it's creativity shifting. Suddenly me and you could make a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
I find that liberating.
Yeah.
You know, and we come back to this point, which I keep telling you, is that people with the ideas will be able to harness this technology to do anything.
Yeah.
You know?
So there was this barrier before where you had to be an expert in something.
Yeah.
You need to
and it's
know
mainly in design.
Yeah.
You have to know how to code an app. You have to know how to build a website. You need to understand how to make something look like this.
That was our problem, but there's many other problems where people don't know how to write a business plan, don't know how to come up with an idea and kind of write it out, right? Which
flesh it out.
ChatGPT, or write a business plan. All of these things,
you're right.
ChatGPT can help you with.
Yeah, so what you're lacking in, an area that you're lacking in, ChatGPT can come in and kind of make up for that, so that you're a well-rounded person in whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, and to get from having no idea to actually being able to use this really powerful tool, you need to go to this training phase, right? And this training phase here, it's really refining and honing your skills in how to write prompts, right? So
I saw something the other day that they were offering like $350,000 to prompt engineers at Google and all these big tech companies, which is crazy. I mean, it's a brand new. I think it started in November. Basically, we've had proper exposure to this kind of a language model, AI language model, and there's already jobs which are considered that valuable if you know how to prompt something.
Yeah, I mean, the top software engineering jobs kind of claim this kind of money, right?
Yeah.
But there's not many people that can, ask for that much money to just write prompts in an AI, right?
And in fact, I was listening to this guy called Imad Moska or something. We'll put it in the show notes. And he's a really smart guy, super smart and super advanced in AI, and he's building a bunch of really interesting projects around it. But he's saying that the AI is better at coding than him, like far better.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And he's an expert in it. So, I mean, the possibilities of him on his own to be able to code, let's say, without having to have a whole team, not only does that reduce the price of whatever he's trying to do, but it also reduces the barriers for people to access.
This price element is a really interesting idea to me. So when you are raising seed funds or Series A or whatever, usually a bunch of your money in tech firms went to the engineering team, right?
100%.
Now it feels like you can start a company with 5 people instead of 20 people.
Yep.
And those 5 people just need to be really good at using different sources on the internet, AI powered sources, to create the same kind of output. Because if you don't need engineers anymore and ChatGPT writes you the code, that's a massive saving there.
Yeah, I think instead of people having specific knowledge, more generalized knowledge and more generalized skills is going to be increasingly more important in this AI world, where you can kind of plug and play what you need, which are specific skills like coding or design or content writing or anything, or even film directing, you know what I mean? You just have all these skills accessible to you all the time.
At this point, I gotta mention a book that I read called Range. We'll put it in the show notes. Amazing book.
I think I read it after
Range
you told me
is,
about it.
it's generalist versus specialist.
Specialist, yeah.
And this is something that comes here into play. The more you expose yourself to different kind of fields, the more you'll be able to take from these fields and put it together in a new kind of way.
Yeah, taking different pieces and then building a different tower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Using all those different pieces.
So you as an entrepreneur, how have you used ChatGPT in your business, or how are you planning to use it to...
Look, to be honest, I listened to a podcast with this Imad guy 3 months ago when he was talking about AI, and it was on Real Vision, which is Raoul Paul's almost his like internal YouTube that he has, which I pay a subscription for. And I was really blown away and thought, wow, this is really incredible. But then sort of got caught up in my own work and my life. And then ChatGPT came out, obviously, and I think that ChatGPT has a massive advantage. They're not the only people building this kind of model, but they really they had the ear of the masses, they had the ear of the people, and this name is almost like Kleenex now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Hoover.
Google. Exactly. They are taking that kind of spot. It doesn't mean that they're going to win, though. Let's remember that Facebook was the 7th player into the space. However, how do I think that... And now I've come back and I'm really looking at it, and I've always wanted to create written content. You know, like publish articles on Substack, publish more on LinkedIn. I'm not that active on LinkedIn. And that's because maybe I don't know how to create content on there. Majority is written content, even though video content does really well. But written content kind of gives you the time to think and express with like a wide range of vocabulary, different thoughts, and what you're dealing with at work or whatever that is. So I'm using ChatGPT now to get rid of the blank page problem. For example, what are the 10 most important questions people ask before they open a restaurant?
So this is basically personal branding for you?
Yeah.
Personal branding. What else have you done for your actual business? Where else can you use it?
Look, majority of the stuff that I've been doing now is creating scripts for content ideas on TikTok, content ideas on Instagram.
So you literally go to ChatGPT and say, give me a hook, for example. Like I know that you can let ChatGPT write you hooks to then use as video ideas.
Yeah, for sure. Give me 10 ideas for a short TikTok video that explains why restaurant industry is a difficult industry.
Yeah.
They'll give you 5 options. Then you choose one, and then you can extrapolate that down. And you can even get to the point where it will write you a script, like opening scene. There's a burger on the grill. Man A is flipping the burger. Like, it can take it to that. And you could even say, make it like Quentin Tarantino. And they could come and like do it like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah. So, in the last few months, you've had some success on social media, and you're now just able to pump a lot more content into this, because the time that it takes to come up with ideas is the tough part.
Yeah, they're
right?
my co-pilot with the ideas and refining the ideas. But now where I think it's going to be even more powerful is creating written content. And I've had it on my list to be doing it for the past week, and I haven't done it. Today I actually started. And my strategy with the written content is really, how do I come up with the ideas on ChatGPT, write it out on ChatGPT, iterate it on ChatGPT, and then after that, I plan to hire somebody on Upwork to go through it again so that it's perfect. You know, after they've done that, put it back into ChatGPT, ask them if there's any suggestions or any changes, and then publish it on Substack.
Yeah, I think there's this ChatGPT 4 now has this ability to kind of mirror your style. I don't know if you know this, but basically...
Yeah, it's learning.
Yeah, exactly. So you can ask it a bunch of different questions. Let's say you've put in 100 different prompts in different kind of fields, and it gives you answers, you refine them, and you then put another topic back into how you refine the answers that ChatGPT gave you with your own kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
It learns how you think, how you write, and then it mirrors you and can be your voice. Instead of Quentin Tarantino, it can actually be Alex.
Yeah, say this how I would say it.
Yes.
Yeah, so you could copy and paste. Technically, you could copy and paste a transcript of somebody else talking and then say, translate this into a way that I would say it.
Yeah.
Because you're, even on social media now, if you look at TikTok and you look at Instagram, the content is shifting. It's no longer just like slapstick comedy. There's a lot of infotainment. Yeah, a lot of people are consuming interesting things on social media. And the only way that you're going to able to get people's attention is when you're in your actual voice. Like when you're actually being honest about it.
I mean, if you're honest about Instagram and TikTok, you do a lot of research, see what works on other kind of channels.
100%.
And then implement that on your channel.
Exactly.
Right? So it's the same thing.
Exactly
It's just
the
saying
same.
it in your voice on a different kind of medium.
Yeah. Now, another question I think that's interesting to discuss is, which kind of industries are going to get disrupted from this technology?
Which one isn't?
Yeah, good.
Right?
But name 3 off the top of your head.
mean, if you look at law, for example.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
They even had a lawyer, they even had a AI defend somebody in like a menial
Pass
case.
the bar.
Yeah, but even think about it, like why do you need to have a human being to defend a menial case, which is just based on case law or statutes? So statute is written law, yeah, so statute 1.25 of this says that a bald man is not capable of walking into a bar, you know, let's say, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you have case law, which is in 1979, in Tariq versus Alex, Tariq was prosecuted because he was bald.
That law degree is finally coming to use.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no reason, especially on the statutory stuff.
Yeah.
Case law is more qualitative. It's a bit more difficult, you know. But statutory, it's either black or white. It's A or B.
Yeah.
Why does a human being?
No, but you know where I think it's going to go. It's going to consume the whole law, the whole, let's say, UK law, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to prompt it
Because it's
this is
also
the
all
case.
written.
Yeah, this is the case. Now give me my argument or defend me, right? So I think a lot of jobs there.
Yeah, but even you
will
don't need
go.
a human. It could be just a transcript.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In these lower level cases. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to
But even
disrupt
for
law.
Even for the more complicated cases, instead of having 20 lawyers in your team, you probably just need 3 or 4 that know how
Exactly,
to
yeah.
work the
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
right? So law is definitely one. Financial services for sure. You know,
Talk a bit about financial services.
I mean, in financial services, I see a lot of the, you know, it depends in which side of financial services, but if you look at all the research that is being done, right, that can be accelerated.
Yeah. But research for what? Like in what sense? You mean a publication?
Publications, investment research. Even when you then look there's people out there that are building algos on how to trade the markets, right? They look
Yep.
at vast data sets and then build on top of that, right? There's so many different fields in financial services. Marketing, you know, all the copywriters.
Yeah, for sure. Suddenly they're not as important anymore.
Yeah. So I don't know what, as an English major, you will do in the future, because a lot of people did this. And
Yeah.
maybe you then transition to be a prompt engineer and you have a much more successful career.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I think also a lot of people will come out of this and say, in their corporate jobs, and say, you know, I'm going to give this a go and I'm going to do something myself. Maybe not start a company for, usually it would have cost you 50, 100 grand to start it, but now it just costs you your own salary of 5 to 10 grand to start it up, but you're so much more efficient, right? So I think a lot of people
I think a lot of people also look at being solopreneurs, you know, like building businesses around their knowledge. Because at the end of the day, you do need a knowledge set to train the AI one way or another.
Yeah.
You know? So for example, you having all the knowledge that you have in the financial services and working in a brokerage, all of that, like how could you consult or how could you write content about it, you know, that people want to consume and make money out of it. Yeah. So I think it gives a lot of people, it's going to create a lot of economic development. I think it'll create more economic prosperity than it will degrading, you know, like jobs and looking at it from a scary perspective. People are going to have to pivot. And the smart ones who pivot early are the ones who are going to grab as much economic value as possible when this sort of shifts and changes.
Yeah.
How do you see ChatGPT? Because if we look at Siri and we look at like Google Assistant and all of this, this was kind of early AI in a way, but it couldn't learn. Wasn't capable of really learning, you know? How is ChatGPT now with APIs coming in and the ability for these companies to interact with ChatGPT, how is that going to make everything, even in your social life, way more streamlined and efficient?
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT 4 now is integrated with Instacart, OpenTable, all sorts of different kind of APIs.
Expedia,
right?
Booking.com.
So it can tell you, you can tell ChatGPT, okay, I want this diet, order this and this on Instacart for me, right? Book me a table for going out on Wednesday. Where are open tables?
Yeah.
Where are there still good open tables in these 10, 15
for food that I like with this, and I'm going on a date with this, or I'm going with my family, or it's you know what I mean?
So you have a person
and give it context as well.
Yes, you have an assistant straight away.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah. So there will be, I think OpenAI will, that's a very smart move how they integrate it into loads of different kind of APIs. They will be able to extend their lead versus their competitors there. And
one point on that is that they need to create this ecosystem where you're kind of doomed if you don't become part of it, because they're just, that flywheel effect is just going. You know, like if you're a Booking.com and you don't want to be able to ping into ChatGPT, you're going to miss out on such a massive...
It's kind of like how restaurants were screwed, right?
Yeah.
If you're not on the aggregators.
Yeah, you have no choice.
Yeah.
They managed to get consumer habits changed, and they managed to get enough market share that you can't actually survive in the quick service restaurant unless you're on aggregators, unless you're delivering. So either you deliver yourself, which the unit economics kind of don't make sense, or you go on the aggregators where the unit economics kind of don't make sense. So either way, you're stuck between a hard place and a rock.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. I'm glad we're back. And
back at it. And a great discussion. Hopefully you guys managed to get some value. We're going to leave a lot of books. We'll refer back to the book. Also the couple of podcasts that we listened to, which we thought were really valuable, as well as that video about Imad on Real Vision. There's 2 of them. He is really an expert in this field and blew my mind with some of the things he had to say.
Yeah, books and podcasts and all of that is a good starting point. But if you really want to learn, you got to expose yourself and
you just need to force yourself to get on to OpenAI, get on ChatGPT, and just play around at least half an hour a day.
And we're still very early.
Yeah, super early. Yeah. At least half an hour a day, you need to make it just a priority.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. Have a good day.